What is good, everybody? Question on the table today. Is Zach Lavine's contract on the line based on how he finishes this season out? Let's talk about it, starting now. What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again, joined by the pettiest man in the business, Mr. P.Kidd. Appreciate y'all.
What's good?
Rocking with us. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, because we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. We don't want y'all to miss a thing, so make sure that y'all hit that bell. It's the only channel that's talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. Make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Now, the season has kind of gone off the rails. Bulls have 4 wins since the All-Star break. And listen, if Ringo's claiming strategic tank and I'm claiming strategic tank, and we were making sure we have to see Brooklyn in that. But question on the table today: is Zach Lavine's contract on the line in this situation where he might not make an all-NBA team? Now, Kids got the numbers for us, essentially breaking down what are the requirements for Zach Lavine and what he would need to do and what he would get paid out to get that contract, the Supermax. Kid, what's the numbers looking like, and do you feel like Zach Lavine will reach that?
Now, just to make sure that we put a little more context to it, we're talking about the Supermax. Now, we know that the Bulls realistically will extend something to Zach. You don't let Zach Lavine walk away if you're the Chicago Bulls. That's not happening. But based off of his eligibility, he is still eligible for the Supermax based off the fact that he was traded while still on his rookie contract. So because of that, he is Supermax eligible. But that does come with stipulations like making an all NBA team. Now, unfortunately, a couple of things have happened for Zach. One, he's dealt with his own personal injuries. We've seen how that's taken him off the rocker as far as his efficiency at times. How much that lift, we've seen a change in his game, just a little bit, but it was enough for it to be noticeable. The rise of DeMar DeRozan having a historic run, which you never want to hate on another man for going out there, putting on a show and stuff like that. But the man broke Wilt numbers. He broke Wilt. Like anytime you put Chamberlain in, not Jordan, he broke Chamberlain numbers. How do you hate that, right? And considering where we come from, where we haven't had somebody do stuff like that since Jordan, guess what? You gotta ride with it, right? But if he's doing that, that means that's less opportunity for Zach Lavine. Now, what the real implication is, who makes all NBA? You saw how it looked in the All-Star game. Zach was chosen. That we both had Zach and DeMar in the All-Star game, but Zach was chosen as a bench player. Not hating on it, not sitting there trying to cause any wedges, but it is what it is. He was voted not as a starter, and we all felt like he should have been, considering the level of play. But now let's take that a step further. Considering the rise of all these other skilled players, does he get snubbed on an all-NBA selection? Him getting snubbed on an all-NBA selection really does take him out, in some cases, for a Supermax contract.
Yeah.
Which is why an extension wasn't done during the offseason or midseason, because he was only max eligible during the midseason. At the end of the season, with the All-NBA selection, he would have been eligible for a Supermax contract. And a lot of that is dependent on who votes, stuff like that. We know how Pat feels about voters. We know how Pat feels about those things. So, like, realistically, what's at stake? I think the difference between that two, and I'll pull up those exact numbers in just a second, but it's about a $50 million difference.
Yeah, big.
It's a sizable amount. And now, mind you, Chicago will still be in a position where they get to offer more than any other team, but on a year-by-year basis, it could be comparable. And at 26, it kind of all depends on where Zach sees himself fitting. What are your thoughts on that?
The interesting thing is, right, you have to look at who made All-NBA first team last season. For me, you're looking at Giannis. Kawhi has been injured all season. Stephen Curry. He'll probably still make it because of what the Warriors have done, but let's be real, like, Steph hasn't been the same player he was last season. Luka probably makes it. Jokic probably makes it. That's all. That's your All-NBA first team. Second team, Julius Randle. He's not going to make it. LeBron James, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard. Unfortunately, due to injury, he's not going to make it. Joel Embiid probably moves up to first team. He was on all team second last season. Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, and Rudy Gobert are your all third team here for 2021, right? So you're asking yourself, does Zach, even with everything he's done, fit on that chart that same way? Does Zach Lavine fit on the all-NBA team in the way and replace some of those guys who, because of injury, they've missed? Zach Lavine's been able to play through. Now, there's some names that are going to be on there as well that probably weren't on there last year. You're probably going to see a LaMelo Ball on there. You're probably going to see a John Morant on there. You're definitely going to see a John Morant on there. So, like, there's names that are going to replace it as well. But you have to ask yourself, like, has Zach Lavine played bad enough to the point where he's going to miss the All-NBA team? Because realistically, that's the only way we see him missing this Supermax, I think. Because, I mean, would you say that even if he makes an All-NBA team, and this is the question a lot of Bulls fans have, you should pay him the Supermax in that situation? Or, because there's variations of it, do you just give him a max deal where he's still getting crazy amounts of money, but you still have a little more flexibility with your roster?
Now, the one thing I will say is, just to take a step back to take a step forward, the full max, standard max with the Bulls is still a really freaking good contract.
Yeah,
like let's not
an extension. That's disrespectful.
You know what I'm saying? Like the standard max for Zach would be $210 million.
Yeah.
Which, considering what numbers are being thrown around for people, yeah, I think Zach deserves that. So we're really talking about the difference between, 245 and 210, which, I don't think he gets the 245.
There's a difference.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference, even after taxes. You know what I'm saying? And we definitely are not pocket watchers by any means. And at the same time, I want it to be clear. We want Zach in the Bulls jersey.
Yes.
We want Zach in the Bulls jersey. We want Zach to get paid what he's worth. Based off what the market is, he's a max player. He is. You have to work that out. You really do. Now, to answer your question as far as who comes off, if you can repeat that last part, like who comes off?
I mean, do you see him making this list? I mean, we're talking about at a minimum making the All-NBA third team, right? Bradley Beal's been hurt. He's probably not going to make it. Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Kyrie Irving, Rudy Gobert, LaMelo Ball might get on there based on what he's done this season. John Morant's probably going to be on this list. Julius Randle's probably off this list. You know what I'm saying? So, like, do you see him making it based on the talent we've seen in this? I mean, realistically, DeMar DeRozan is going to probably be on this list. I
don't see how he doesn't make the list, to be honest with you. Some staples that have been on this list, Steph Curry, I hate to say this, but he broke the record and then kind of disappeared a little bit. I think he kind of falls into a later team. If they go strictly by guards, do you have 6 guards ahead of Zach?
I personally don't, but I know how the voting can get, and let's be real, we've heard a lot of the stuff about how the NBA has done things to keep players from getting their money. So
yeah, that's wild.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar to that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a team where Zach Lavine doesn't make all NBA third team because guess what? DeMar DeRozan gets on all NBA third team.
That's the only thing that I'm worried about is that DeMar.
That's tough, dog. That's tough. That creates an entirely different dynamic on this team.
Yeah. DeMar's ascension this season should not have any negative backlash or implication on what happens for Zach, because Zach has proven that he deserves what he deserves.
He still has 40-90 season.
But that's just not how the world works, unfortunately. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know it and we know what feels right, but for some odd reason, it never really works out that way. And that's I don't even know what that's called, but that's what it's been. And that's one of my biggest fears rolling into this season, especially at the halfway mark, it was just like, hey, it was so much on the line for Zach Lavine. Like, I really wanted him to, this was his MVP season. This was this. And he's still young enough. He still has the opportunity to. And I'm happy for DeMar. I'm happy to see it. Got a chance to see him in person. Great game. Great. I love his game. Really do. But I really felt bad for Zach at times because it just felt like so much opportunity was being taken away for him to really maximize and show what he can do as an individual. And I think he deserved that opportunity. But that's thinking selfishly and not team basketball. But unfortunately, the numbers and stuff, these contracts are based off what you do, not just for your team, but as individuals.
Yeah. 100%.
And so, like it's a hard thing, especially when you have all these incentives. When you put that into perspective, all these incentives are based off your individual play.
Yeah.
So I hope that's something that changes. I think Gilbert Arenas spoke on that on a different show, but it's weird. So
it is.
I hope not.
And I think that I hope it doesn't create a wedge, but I feel like that's the one person that you're looking at that might make it. And listen, no slight to DeMar, rightfully so. Like, we started this thing talking about, he broke a Wilt record. You're gonna make it a minimum an all NBA team when you break a Wilt championship record. And so, like, that. Yeah. As crazy as it can say,
yeah.
And I don't want to say it's like it could be a blessing in disguise for the Bulls, but do you feel like, before we get out of here, do you feel like if Zach Lavine doesn't make an all NBA team, that it could be potentially a good thing for the Bulls as it currently stands?
Yeah. Yeah, one, I think it just allows for more money to go toward to acquire different assets.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've heard in a long time that they didn't care about the luxury tax and stuff like that, and we have a regime that knows that you got to spend the money to be competitive now. Like, that's just what it is. If you want to win, you can't be worried about luxury tax. And so it's good to hear that from AK and and that whole front line right there. So I can see where the benefits would be to construct a roster around Zach, which ultimately, if he wants to win, he's dead set on winning, hey, you still making over 200 M's.
Yeah.
You got a chance to still win. And I
M's.
get to make 200 M's and I get to, but then again, I can't speak for Zach and stuff like that. And he's trained his whole life for these moments. You want to get what you're worth. And so, but yeah, I can see the roster being constructed differently. I can see us going out to get, those additional pieces just in case, Patrick Williams doesn't evolve like we want him to. Vooch needs some backup. Vooch needs some backup. Tristan is great. He's a nice field gap, but there's still a gap there. If Vooch goes down, Tristan's not giving you Vooch numbers.
Yeah.
So to have someone who can come and give you that potential, we need that opportunity there. So hopefully that's what that translates into. But we'll see. What are your thoughts on it?
We'll definitely see. I think that it'll be interesting. I think that Zach Lavine wants to win more than he wants. I know this sounds crazy. I think that Zach Lavine wants to win more than he wants the extra $35 million. But Zach, you see it. Zach Lavine has been willing to allow DeMar DeRozan to have those moments. Zach Lavine is more willing to allow Vooch to have those moments than anybody else on the team, which is mind blowing. So, like, to me, I look at it as Zach wants to win. Zach realizes that the team has to have money for him to win. I think Zach might have been open to taking a max kind of deal anyway. But I hope that it's not. This is the thing. I hope that the decision is his to make and it's not taken out of his hands. I hope that Zach Lavine, because Zach Lavine, I don't care what nobody say. When he's 110% healthy, Zach Lavine is one of the best scorers this NBA has. Zach Lavine is one of the best shooting guards this NBA has. He deserves to make an NBA all team, at a minimum a third team, which is disrespectful to say, but okay, I'll allow it. Yeah, I'm saying. So I think that he absolutely should be on this. I want him to have the option to make the decision to say, listen, Zach, we can offer you 245, but we would love to get you somewhere around this 210 so that we can
around you.
Team around you. I think that's going to be best case scenario. I hope that he gets the chance to choose and he chooses the 210, but hey, listen, that's 35 years. I can't. But hey, we want to know how you guys feel, man. Let us know in the comments below.
God.
We're talking with you as well. Do you think Zach Lavine could be in a situation where his contract might be on the line? Should the Bulls pay Zach the Supermax? And will Zach take that Supermax or just more of a max deal? We'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again, joined by the pettiest man alive, Mr. P.Kidd. To continue watching our Chicago Bulls content, check the links on the screen or the links in the description below. Hey, yo, Chicago, y'all stay safe out there, man.
Peace.